Our Sepulchral Stalkers Chef's Kiss in patch 6.3.1. Recent changes have taken away availability of Stalkers to give it back again through the back door, so we have to work a little harder to get more of them. That's more of an affirmation for how good they are and can be. Recruit for, okay, it's Tomb Kings, costing 1200 gold in multiplayer. On Ultra scale, they come at 16 entities with 7040 health between them, for 440 each. It sounds like a lot, but there are limits. Armor is 80, which is both not low and nowhere near as high as some of the competition. By default, there are no special resistances. Leadership of 50 is middling in every way. Speed is 50, but charge speed is 75. I'm pretty sure I didn't realize it was that high, but there's a reason for that. Melee attack begins at 22, which is low, quite low, but every blow is magical attack by default. Attack interval of 4.7 seconds is a relatively slow one. Medium splash of its size means Empire Knights on down, and therefore trolls are not splashed, and maximum targets damaged by splash is 2. This means a full health unit cannot, under unrealistically ideal conditions, hope to damage more than 32 infantrymen at once. Therefore, what you will see again and again is how this unit can drown against numbers. It's not intended to YOLO infantry. Melee defense of 30 doesn't seem that high, but it's a lot better than that earlier number. Weapon strength is 75, split base 23, and armor piercing 52, which is in the realm of Rat Ogres without the amazing animations and splash. But there's a bonus versus large of 18. That is to say, against Empire Knights, this would be melee attack 40 at rank 0, weapon strength 93, heavily tilted toward opening their tin cans. Charge bonus is 10, a mere 10, and mass is 900, or less than a Nehekaran Horseman pair. Well, if that's all there was to this unit, this would be pretty pathetic, right? Right? But there is more. For ranged, because like the frilly dinosaur in Jurassic Park, they spit in contempt at full-figure software, their foes. Ammunition 12, which isn't a ton, range 80, which is quite short. Nominal strength 130, but E-Spit is magical attack. Note, no presence of poison by default. Actual impacts are split base 28 and armor piercing 104. This is, theoretically, from each stalker, so it's important to understand that the ranged attack hits substantially harder than the melee does. This is given as artillery under trajectory and has reload time of 10, so it's slower than melee, sure, but you're not being hit back in melee. Total accuracy is given as the default 20, rising with rank, calibration distance 80 equal to the maximum range, calibration area 3 means it's fairly accurate, and there is no multi-target penetration. There's a lot going on with this. The unit isn't called Stalkers for show. They have Stalk, Vanguard Deployment, Cause Fear, counts as constructs, which we'll get back to, have Charge Defense versus Large, and have Charge Reflection for extra damage, and since they aren't being knocked down like infantrymen, Charge Reflection can result in serious short-term damage if a charging enemy slams right into them. If. In the Redline skills, 3 pips of Stone Sentinels offers melee attack plus 6, weapon strength plus 8%, and charge bonus plus 8 flat. Setting weapon strength aside, and that's nice, that's a base of 22 rising to 28 against infantry, charge bonus 10 up to 18. The other units cover Necrosphinxes and Tomb Scorpions. Think of this like off-label prescriptions. It's not what you supposedly brought them for, but with Stone Sentinels, Stalkers are a huge amount better when used outside their core competence. It's not essential if you're using them only as the Necrotech Guild advises, but this is war and stuff comes up. At rank 7 and up, it is Dune Rider, common with other products of the Cavalry building, granting plus 10 armor, plus 5 melee attack, and physical resistance plus 10%, all desired like a ravenous lion desires lamb. In the tech tree, almost all of the burden is borne by Lish administrators in the 3rd Dynasty tree, providing armor plus 10, melee attack plus 5, and melee defense plus 5. Even by itself, this massively shores up the unit as a fresh recruit. Combined with the Redline skills, it provides a lot. Patronage of the 3rd Dynasty provides plus 2 capacity. The problem with capacity is that the Tier 3 cavalry building only provides +1 now, and +2 requires a Tier 4 building, obviously in major settlements only. The Asaph Blessing provides missile strength +12% for Sepulchral Stalkers, and as you've seen, it is the only way to increase their missile strength if we're considering the Redline and Tech trait. As a practical matter, you'll pop off with Stalkers when you get enough Necrotechs, boosting their numbers, but since that's been made much easier, the trait Serpent Carver isn't going to make or break your use anymore. So how do we use Sepulchral Stalkers? Yes, I have words about this. First, the completely unbalanced design means you should never use this unit alone or without a plan. Just letting it get into melee without getting its shots off is stupid and makes you weaker. Sometimes you have no choice, sure. Sometimes it really is the best thing to stop a dragon cold. But shooting that dragon is usually going to do much more because the armor-piercing shots really add up. It could take hundreds of archers shooting at the same target. Actually, let's do that math. 5 skeleton archer units firing 600 arrows every 8 seconds are doing 1 armor piercing per arrow. Assuming all hit, by 32 seconds, we'd have 2,400 damage being done against a sun dragon with really high armor. I'm pretending absolutely none of the base damage rolls get through. In 30 seconds, a single unit of 16 Stalkers with perfect accuracy will have done 4,992 armor-piercing damage. Of course, this is in an absolutely ideal situation of every shot getting off and every shot landing, but the potential is there, and that's important. Aside from showing how going from 1 AP to 2 AP is a big deal with skeleton archers, the Stalkers can be a frighteningly powerful unit at ranged if allowed to be, but that range is relatively short. This means something friendly must tie down or delay an enemy unit somehow, or some other means is being used to be able to lay into it at ranged, not that you have huge amounts of ammunition. What you need is time, and damage, lots of damage. This is where magic is the MVP. A strategic net of Ammontalk at the right time and place can reliably stop an opponent for crucial seconds while Stalkers rip it apart at ranged. The duration is the same for single cast. Overcast just adds an area of effect, which could be good for your situation. There are spells that will slow enemies, and for that matter, it would be nice to get flinching from an enemy from damage, but the net is still number 1 here. As for the rest, the incantation of Petra, good old Petra, adds plus 40% to both missile damage types for the duration when given as a simple cast. Unfortunately, it's single unit. However, overcasting it grants reload skill plus 40 points, which will dramatically shave reload time and get the spits spinning faster with even more contempt. And it's not like you can't combine the two tactics. Moreover, if you are so blessed as to have Kalita with you, her aura will increase missile damage and reload skill at the same time, which can be combined with other sources, like the Tra, up to the cap of 4.0 seconds, which is 40% of the reload time you started with, and thus more than double your effective DPS if you could do that. Moreover, with Kotep's patronage at work, spell intensity can increase those boons beyond 40%. So that's like nuking the planet. It's the only way to make sure. Assuming, as is a safe assumption, that your main concern is something taller than a skeleton spearman. Having spearmen pin something still while Stalkers fire over their heads, or between gaps in the units, or just flanking the Stalkers to the side and getting clean shots will often get you chances to use more of that ammunition to do vile and evil things to your foes. That the ammo is not infinite is hardly important. You can make it count. Besides, it's not like appropriate aid won't help. A prepared trait lord will have his Stalkers prepare extra spit as well. All's fair in love and total war. Speaking of aid, since the default melee against infantry is this bad, and even against large targets, you could be drowning in a mixed mosh pit brawl too, let's revisit the basics. My Will Be Done, emanating from the Tomb King, will give plus 5 melee attack and plus 5 melee defense in a 35 meter radius, so just having the Lord close will help a lot. A Necrotect with both passive auras running within 35 meters will provide plus 15 armor, plus 10% missile resistance, plus 5 melee attack, and plus 6% armor-piercing damage. No, the damage boost isn't too high, but the melee attack is, and these auras will stack with My Will Be Done. Not with more Necrotects, no, but when you start with 22, plus 10 from 2 characters is a big deal. Cursed Blades, the basic Nehekara spell, can give you better damage output, but Overcast, you're getting a minimum of plus 16 extra bonus versus large, and that should be enough to go stabby into some iron guts. Neru could provide plus 40% physical resistance against those same iron guts if that's a concern. Sources of healing are limited, so preventing damage could be an option somewhat. Anyway, those are the fundamentals for taking Stalkers and using them productively. And most of what I've talked about revolved around one unit of Stalkers. So from recent experience, let me emphasize this. Even the AI will shoot mercilessly Sepulchral Stalkers, and this is the right call. They are easy to shoot. If it's Dark Elves, they can and will destroy such a unit, and it will be good for them. This is the number 1 threat to Stalkers. Number 2 is drowning in blobs, but number 1 is shooting them. But that's why they have Stalk. You have to play around this weakness as best you can. Now, if you have 2 Stalker units, you can use them independently, or you can focus a single target, or you can use them to cover each other. And if one is hit in melee, the other can get some shots off, and so forth. You can even use guard mode, and it might work out for you, or you can use direct targeting, it might work out for you. Because they might fire in melee. We'll see. But covering each other tends to go really well. Obviously, it's not perfect. See mass dark shards. But against that, what is, except ramming them with more chariots, which is what I do a lot. Finally, the very fact that the shots do not have penetration means your ability to work with friendly characters, keeping that abomination at bay for a few seconds more, will have a reduced chance of friendly fire. It's not zero, but that abomination is dangerous, so you want to burn it down ASAP. One final note, even though that it says artillery for the trajectory, the Stalkers cannot damage city walls or towers. You cannot target them. Take care and have fun doing jump scares against unsuspecting cavalry units. You'll have the last and really only laugh.